everybody, MichaelBtheGameGenie here, and in today's mini episode of Game Genie Reviews, we're going to be taking a look at the arcade control panel for the AtGames Legends Pinball. So that's right, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at the arcade control panel, which is an optional accessory for the AtGames Legends Pinball table. I want to say a huge thank you to AtGames for sending me out the arcade control panel for review. So let's find out what the arcade control panel will allow you to do on your AtGames Legends Pinball, and if it brings enough increased value to justify its somewhat hefty price tag. As most of you are aware, I'm a huge fan of the AtGames Legends Pinball table, and when the arcade control panel was first announced, I didn't know if this was something I needed, as I bought the pinball table to play pinball and not arcade games. P-Dubs sometimes calls me the three-quarters snob, but I like to play games in their original form factor, and playing on a pinball table seemed weird to me. Secondly, it's a pinball table, and how awkward would it make the table look to have a control panel at the front? Would it take away from the pinball aesthetic? Lastly, I am always nervous about doing any modifications to my machines where I am not technologically inclined, and was concerned it would be a difficult mod. Despite having these concerns, I have always been extremely interested in an AtGames cocktail table that I don't know if we will ever get, so this could be the next best thing. Also, the more and more I saw photos of the setup, I started thinking how cool would it be to play vertical shooters on this thing. As I mentioned earlier, AtGames was kind enough to send me out a copy of the arcade control panel for review. Luckily, the installation was super easy, and I want to say a huge shout out to my brother, Detroit Love, for his great instructional video that basically walked a novice like me smoothly through the process. I will leave a link to his video down in the description if you want to check it out. The next thing I want to talk about is my concern about how it would affect the overall pinball aesthetic, and honestly, I couldn't have been more wrong because I think it actually improves the look of the table. The piece that I really thought was going to look out of place was the control stick, but I'm happy to report that it does not. The control stick seems slightly stubbier than the traditional AtGames control stick, so it gives it more of a compact look. That compact look doesn't come at the expense of controller quality, as the control works just fine while navigating the menus and making precise movements in games. The color scheme of the control panel is awesome, with black on black on black, masking the appearance of everything going on there. It is also an answer to everyone who is unhappy with the design of the original bottom panel that had Legends Pinball printed on it with the little directional pad. Speaking of that directional pad, while it did its job, it wasn't the most comfortable thing to navigate the menus with, and moving to this high-end control stick completely improves that process, and almost makes this upgrade worth it alone, frankly. In terms of the buttons, they feel good and are very similar to the buttons in the ALU, if not identical. The trackball again is just like the trackball in the ALU, and is awesome, especially for playing one of my favorite arcade games of all time, Centipede, which is such a treat on this machine, which we will talk about more in a minute. The biggest surprise for me was the change in exciters. As some of you may be aware, AtGames uses exciters for the pinball haptics, which are little speakers housed in the front panel under your hands. I stated in my original ALP review that I wasn't overly impressed with the experience. When I installed the arcade control panel, I noticed a significant difference in the force coming from the exciters, which greatly improved my experience. I don't know if they are an upgrade in terms of size or quality, but they certainly do feel a great deal better to me. I have heard some feedback in the community that it does create a rattling noise, but this is not something that has bothered me so far. Overall, I would say that the new panel has actually improved my enjoyment of pinball on the machine, which is wild because it's an arcade control panel, right? So then we get into the gameplay, and of course where this pinball table is going to shine is on vertical games. I have already mentioned Centipede, where you can adjust it to fit the whole screen, and brother, does it look cool to see this thing right across. I have the Arcade 1-Up Centipede cabinet, which I love, but surprising even to me, I may enjoy playing Centipede in this form factor on this giant screen even more. I do enjoy playing traditional vertical games on the machine, and it sort of scratches that cocktail cabinet itch for me I have always wanted to see from AtGames, especially when playing a classic like Galaga. But what I was really interested in seeing played on this thing was vertical scrolling shooters, and let me tell you, the experience was everything I was hoping it was going to be. The action just pops off the beautiful screen, and while I love playing these scrolling shooters on an arcade cabinet, there's just something that feels oh so right looking down at this giant screen while blasting everything coming in your path. Classic scrolling shooters like 1941 are such a treat to play on this machine using the arcade control stick. It almost makes you forget this is a pinball table, and a hell of a one too, to be honest, but the experience is just so natural and rewarding. I was dubious if this thing would be for me, but after a few play sessions, I was immediately in love and wanted to play through all those arcade vertical scrolling shooters I could think of. The arcade control panel provided more to me than an option, but a unique arcade experience I didn't know I needed. So guys, that's my look at the AtGames Arcade Control Panel for the ALP. Good news for my Canadian friends, this thing is currently available at the Brick here in Canada with a price point of $249 with inventory already available in their distribution centers. The United States retail price is $200, which isn't anything to sneeze at. Luckily, National Owners Day Autumn is right around the corner, and hopefully this is one of the items they will have on sale, because the arcade control panel at a discount I can easily recommend, even if you aren't sold on playing arcade games on your AtGames Legends Pinball table, for all the other benefits I listed in my review. And who knows, maybe you'll fall in love with playing vertical shooters on this thing, just like I did. Anyways guys, let me know what you think of the AtGames Arcade Control Panel for the AtGames Legends Pinball table. Is this something you're interested in? I want to say thank you so much to everybody for watching this week. This is Michael B. the Game Genie, and I'll talk to you next time.